Okay, it's March 17th, and I suppose I should do an update, even though I haven't really got much accomplished. What I am finding is it is much more difficult to get these holes drilled than one would ever think. Yeah. The problem is, and I've been doing test drills over here. The problem is, I got a long 1/2 inch drill, but I couldn't get any long 3/4 inch drills. So you drill a 1/2 inch hole out, which is what we started with here. And I don't know how well you're going to be able to see that. Oh, that's better. But if you can see that, if it's focused or not, I ran a 3/4 inch ship auger into a 1/2 inch hole here, and it wanders. It's not a straight hole. So that doesn't work, and that's what I was planning on doing all my holes with. So all my ship augers that I bought maybe for naught. Even relatively short holes like here for station 44, I drilled this hole out. I've got a shorter, I bought another shorter, a new 3/4 inch standard, split point bit. It's long enough that I can go in from each end, and that worked. It's gonna work, but even then it's not perfect. When it starts going in, it may want to move just a little bit off a center or whatever, and that little bit can make a big difference. So what to do? Well, I bought this is the longest 3/4 inch bit I could find, but it's a straight shaft, and I don't have a 3/4 inch chuck, of course. So I could either make an adapter. I'd have to get my lathe running again, which I don't have my big lathe running. Either make an adapter to put that into like a 1/2 inch chuck, or I could turn this down, could grind it down. But I don't know, another 120 bucks for this bit, and it's still only 2 feet long. It's still not as long as it's going to need to be for some of these. Well, for pretty much all of them. So, and here's the 3/4 inch I bought. I had a 3/4 inch like this, but I thought, I better get a new one. And here's the ship augers, which just aren't working. Now, what is working, and this is one of these sort of flexible electrician's bits for running cables and hoses and wires and whatnot through walls. It's somewhat flexible, but it actually is working. Once I get a 1/2 inch hole drilled, this seems to be doing an all right job. Yeah, this was only 40 bucks, so this one wasn't so terrible bad. But yeah, I don't know. In this 2-foot bit, I ordered a 3/4 inch chuck, but of course it doesn't fit anything I've got, so I'm gonna have to make an adapter of some sort anyway. But whether I just weld it onto something or I don't know. But struggling. I'm definitely struggling with this. There isn't a chance in hell you're going to ram a 3/4 inch shaft through these holes that were drilled initially with the 1/2 inch and then drilled out with the ship auger. The next problem I've been having is, of course, I want to countersink these at least on one side, and it takes a pretty good sized hole. Using a Forstner bit, it's a 2-inch diameter hole to get the washer on there, and of course, yeah, here's the washer here. See, that's a pretty big washer. Anyway, 2-inch diameter hole. And of course, once you've got a pilot hole drilled down the middle, that Forstner bit has nothing to center on, and so you cannot get it started, at least not by hand. You maybe could if you had it a drill press or something where it was, you know, stationary. But by hand, it's just going to bounce all over the place and just chew up the surface of the wood. So, what do you do for that? So what I'm doing is I'm gluing a plug in here, center punching it, and then drilling it out. Actually, I started with a 2-inch hole saw bit as opposed to the Forstner bit, because the Forstner bit doesn't like, because you got to drill these, you know, perpendicular to the hole, and the wood surfaces you know, on an angle here. So I started out with the 2-inch hole saw just so I didn't get such a rough, which is what happened here. I got a really rough edge here on this one because it and it still didn't give me just a super fine edge in there, and I'm not sure if that's completely centered or not, or if I'm going to have to go in there with something else. But what it amounts to is every hole is a struggle, and every hole takes an enormous amount of time. And then these bolts, I've got to make a bolt for each one too, which takes time. But yeah, and then of course your floors, you need to drill holes in your floors. And in addition to the jig for drilling holes, there's the jig for drilling holes in the keel. I made a jig for drilling holes. That's to get my 1/2-inch holes in the... So that just slides over there to hold it in place to get the hole centered. And then you can just actually, you can look down there and line up the mark. Yeah, believe it or not, you can. But another jig to get the two things. And then this green thing here is a trough for galvanizing, and I'll show you that next. I got that in the house though.